Good afternoon. My name is Mark Vandenberg, and I'm currently a kindergarten teacher working at Harris Park Elementary School. Harris Park is located in Denver, Colorado, and it's a part of the Westminster Public Schools District. If you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But by all means, keep moving. This is a quote from Martin Luther King Jr., and I found this from the We Are Teachers Twitter account. It was actually published just recently, and as we learned last week, assessment isn't necessarily about trying to figure out who's right or who's wrong. We really try to use like assessments and data to improve. And just like Martin Luther King said in this quote, it's really about improvement. The desired outcome isn't necessarily the goal. It truly is about making forward progress. So when you look at Harris Park, the first thing I think that's worth noting is looking at the demographic. And you can see that the majority, almost three-fourths, is Hispanic. And the majority of these students are coming into us as ELLs, English language learners. For the first time, they are learning English. So when you look at our assessments, just looking at the growth of literacy might not give you the most accurate representation of the school as a whole, because we have so many first language learners in our building. PARCC is the state assessment that pretty much, or not pretty much, that all Colorado schools are ranked off. So at the end of the year, students are taking, third, fourth, and fifth grade students are taking a math, language arts, and a science assessment. And when you look at our school, 15% scored proficient in math in comparison to the state average of 34. 12% were proficient in language arts in comparison to the state average, which is 45. And 11% scored proficient in science in comparison to the state average, which is 31. So what does that mean? It means that we are ranked well below. This is actually the lowest ranking you can get. If you're going to go into RANDA, which is the state's database for teacher evaluations, a part of every teacher evaluation in the state is their school's PARCC score. So if you were to look at mine, you would see that our overall PARCC score is well below. Where do we want to be? We want to get improvement and hopefully find ourselves in that average, above average, and eventually in that well above category. Currently, students are scoring proficiency at rates of only 10 to 15%. Our goal is to get into that average or above average growth. And if we're going to do that, we have to increase our PARCC proficiency scores by 15%. And again, folks, only 1.7 out of 10 are meeting proficiency as measured by PARCC. How did we get to where we are now? We implemented ability grouping. So instead of having students in the same classroom based off their age, we group them based off of their academic ability. And it really starts to kick in when they're in third through fifth grade. So you might have a student who is the age of a third grader, but he or she is really advanced in math. So they might be doing level 4 math, but he or she might just be average at literacy. So they're doing level 3 literacy. The hope is that we're going to have a system in place that allows students to go at a projection that's higher than what the teacher would normally set in an academic year. We evaluate our students and their skills through the system called Empower, which is a personalized education path. So you can see all the standards through Empower, and when a student masters a skill, we mark it off. When a student masters all the skills within a content area, they advance to the next level. We have teachers working in a compartmentalized system. So we don't have third, fourth, and fifth grade teachers doing third, fourth, and fifth grade all day. We actually separate the day into blocks for intermediate. So if you look at a third grade teacher, for example, they will have either a science or social studies block in the morning, and then they'll have a literacy block 1 and a literacy block 2, or they'll have science and social studies in the morning and then math 1 or math 2. Our hope is that we're simplifying the lesson planning and really making it easier for our teachers to track student data, because rather than having them look at all subject areas for each student, they're really trying to specialize and just make sure that they know everything about a certain category so they can deliver that instruction the best way possible. One thing that we've been struggling with, though, is retaining teachers. I'm going into Harris Park. This will be my 4th year next year. And since I've started, we only have 2 out of 12 classroom teachers with more than 3 years of experience. So we're hoping to obviously retain teachers as we move forward. If we're going to get to where we want to be, we have so many new teachers that aren't familiar with the curriculums or the data assessments that we use, not to their own fault, just because where they are in their career. So Envision's our math curriculum. They're going to have to receive PD and improvement with Envisions. DIBELS is what we use to assess and progress monitor literacy. Wonders is our literacy curriculum. And PSI is what we use for science and social studies. We talked last week, our last module, about analyzing data. And Dr. Thomas talked about meeting with a team or our colleagues at least once every other week if possible. Right now, we only meet with our principal once a month, and we don't have any requirements to meet with our colleagues who teach the same grade levels and standards. So if we want to improve, we should try to do more data meetings regularly, once every other week, instead of just doing it once a month. We continue to bring in outside resources when available, such as Reading Partners. Reading Partners is a nonprofit organization that works with students who are below reading level. So if you have a student below reading level in your class and they qualify, an adult will come and pull them for about 20 to 30 minutes twice a week, and they'll receive literacy instruction geared towards their skills and their deficits that they need improvement on. We have implemented Kagan Cooperative Learning Structures. We are currently in year 2 of that. Kagan Cooperative Learning Structures are basically team models that teachers implement into their classroom. And so rather than students thinking individually about problems or about content, they're structured together in teams and they learn cooperatively as opposed to just doing the learning on their own. Scholars Unlimited is an after-school program that we implemented. I want to say it was 3 years ago. This is an after-school program that gives students additional education as well as just fun. They are doing activities, they're doing gym, they're doing art. It's just a way to kind of keep our students on the right path and to help expose them to new skills and new ideas and strengths that they might find. And then lastly, we want to analyze how we align our instruction activities and our assessment. And lastly, we want to know, is this enough?